Hi, my name is Grant Kramer, and I am a professor emeritus at the University of Nevada, Reno. Today, we'll be continuing my plant physiology lectures with an update on hormones. Plant Physiology, Lecture 19, a hormone update. As I alluded to in a previous lecture, my original lecture was based upon a definition from more than 40 years ago when I was a graduate student. A lot more knowledge has been gained since then, so let's update hormones with some additional considerations. Originally, the concept was considered in the 1800s and coined by Ernest Starling in 1905. The definition that I used before was an organic substance synthesized in one part of the organism and transported to another part where it elicits a physiological response in low concentrations. But let's take a fresh look at plant hormones. The first consideration is that they are low molecular weight molecules that modulate transcription to promote plasticity and growth, development, and environmental responses. Phytohormones are part of a larger group of metabolites that alter gene expression with different biological effects and degrees of conservation within land plants. The classic hormone concept of action at a distance does not necessarily apply to plants. There are short distance effects which can also occur. Hormone characteristics include the ability to modulate growth, developmental, and immune-related processes. They have activity at very low concentrations. They elicit rapid biological responses to fluctuating concentrations of the hormone signal. They have a high degree of conservation in the plant kingdom. And they are perceived by dedicated receptors that transduce the signal to major effectors of physiological change. For example, transcription factors, kinases, and ion channels. So originally, the classic 5 hormones were auxin, gibberellins, cytokinins, ethylene, and abscisic acid. These are the hormones I learned about in graduate school. Since then, we have expanded our knowledge, and we can now consider the classic 10 to include jasmonic acid, salicylic acid, racinosteroids, strigolactones, and peptides. This is not the maximum number of hormones, and other hormones will surely be included in lists of the future. A common hormone action considered today is that hormones elicit transcriptional responses. This is certainly the case, but almost everything elicits a transcriptional response. This is not enough. Additional criteria, such as described before regarding actions at low concentrations and requiring dedicated receptors, are needed in our definition. However, hormones are not limited to transcriptional responses. They can have direct actions on ion transport, phosphorylation of proteins, and protein degradation. These direct actions can be more rapid than transcriptional responses and can contribute to the overall physiological actions in the plant. So if we now include the classic 10 hormones in this chart, we can see that things are getting a bit more complicated than the charts I showed before, particularly for peptides, which is a hormone family with a very diverse and wide array of peptides with diverse actions in plants. So we will discuss the rest of the classic 10 hormone families in the next lectures. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this lecture on plant hormones. If you liked it, then please like it on my YouTube channel. And there you will find other videos on plant physiology, on grapevines, on winemaking practices. And if you are interested in more lectures, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day.